Formula 1 driver transfer market is in full swing, and it's getting more and more unpredictable as the season progresses. Just today, as I'm recording this, McLaren made the announcement that they're going to sack Stoffel Vandoorne after only 2 seasons in the car. Let's face it, it wasn't exactly the best of times for him. Replacing him with the young British driver in Lando Norris. There's a lot riding on this young driver as well, and obviously coming through the ranks at McLaren. British driver, we've seen that before, and look what happened to him. So let's see if he can repeat the fate that British driver Lewis Hamilton did when he came through the ranks almost 10 years ago. I'm going to be discussing about obviously Lando Norris coming into McLaren. What do I think of that from a McLaren fan's perspective? Also as well about Charles Leclerc possibly going to Ferrari. Is Kimi dropped? Is Kimi staying? Who knows? And obviously about the situation with Racing Point Force India, with Lance Stroll going there possibly for the Singapore Grand Prix. At the time, nothing has been said, but I'm expecting an announcement very, very soon. I'm pretty sure that you guys are as well, so stay tuned for that. But the first thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be the Italian Grand Prix. Now, I'm not going to be discussing about the entirety of the race, even though it was probably one of the most exciting Grand Prix that we have seen this season. I'm going to be talking about one incident in particular, and I think you know which one it's going to be. It's obviously the turn 4 incident between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Now, there's always a massive controversy whenever it comes to these two clashing with each other, even if it's just minor. It's always controversial as well. I mean, we've seen it happen in Baku before, when Vettel went in the back of Hamilton as well, and obviously that caused a lot of stir. A lot of people got on Vettel's back, really, but then again, a lot of anti-Vettel fans obviously got a lot of anti-Hamilton fans got on Vettel fans, and anti-Vettel fans obviously backed them up on that. So, obviously, I want to know your opinion first in the comment section below before I give my opinion, because there's just loads of opinions circulating on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well. There's just everywhere. So before I give my opinion, I want to know your opinion. Was it Vettel's fault? Was it Hamilton's fault? Or do you think it was just a plain racing incident and we should just crack on with the Formula 1 season and just, you know, look forward to Singapore? Now, my opinion is that it was just a racing incident. I'm not biased towards Hamilton, I'm not biased towards Sebastian Vettel. This is from a neutral perspective. I like seeing all the drivers do well. Most of the McLaren drivers, but they're not really involved in this whatsoever. So I'm gunning for these two as well, because Vettel, I just like Sebastian Vettel. I think he's better since he went to Ferrari. Hamilton, he's British. Obviously, it's just brilliant to see these two, you know, at their peak of their career, 2 4-time world champions. It's never been on the grid before. What a time to be alive, and what a time to follow Formula 1. So obviously, if you haven't seen the incident, or if you wanted me to kind of explain, obviously the race starts, everyone gets away, the front 3 get away nice and cleanly. Raikkonen's in the lead. You have Vettel and Hamilton in ascending order. Vettel goes to the left, Hamilton goes to the right. Vettel tries to goes down on the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen obviously keeps his position. Vettel backs out of it. He can see that there's no room. Hamilton's on the outside. He comes swinging in, and Vettel carries it, I would say, a bit too much speed. Hits the side pod of the Mercedes and obviously spins out. Hamilton continues on. Now, immediately everyone just went, oh, Hamilton's, straight away, that was Hamilton's fault. He caught him out. Now, when I first seen that, immediately I thought, you know, Hamilton's done that purposely. He's moved alongside to give him probably a bit more, you know, probably a little less room for Vettel. He didn't give him the space. That was my initial first thought when I seen that. But once I see the replays and kind of allow other people to kind of explain it and give their opinion, you do see a little bit of the brighter side of the picture, really. The other side, probably where the grass is probably green on that side. And now I think it's just a racing complete incident, because if you look at the footage again, unfortunately I don't have any footage to show you guys because of copyright and everything like that, but if you do go back and look at the incident, you do see that Hamilton does give Vettel loads of room. I would say Hamilton goes a lot wider than you should in that chicane. Obviously he knows Vettel's there, and he knows that he has to make that move ASAP, because there's 2 Ferraris in 1 Mercedes, and obviously that Mercedes wants to get past the 2 Ferraris ASAP, because he knows that those 2 will be working together to do anything to stop Lewis Hamilton from getting there. And he also knows that Ferrari will allow Seb to go ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, Ferrari are going to let the drivers race, but let's be realistic. Vettel's got a championship to win. Kimi is nowhere near that, so I would have thought Vettel would have been on the team radio if he had to survive that corner, and he would have said, guys, let me through. Kimi is, you know, he's holding me up. Hamilton's catching us. Therefore, Vettel would have overtaken Kimi, and Kimi would have been asked to keep Hamilton at bay. But obviously, strategy-wise, they probably would have been quite interesting to see what both teams would have done should that scenario had it popped up. But obviously, it didn't, because as I said, Seb hit Hamilton. He spun. and obviously Seb had a lot of work to do. You can see Seb, obviously, he goes in the corner, he goes as late as he possibly can, he carries way too much speed, as like I said. If Hamilton wasn't there, he would have missed the corner, and I'm pretty sure Hamilton would have obviously cut back on the inside and took the place anyways. Vettel should have backed out of it, really. And obviously you should have been a bit more careful. Might have lost a couple of positions, but that's pretty much easy to make up in a Ferrari like that. And obviously Ferrari would have probably played their strategy quite well, as they have done the majority of this season compared to last season, and been able to allow Sebastian Vettel to go forth and possibly win the Grand Prix. But obviously I think the move that Hamilton made was, I would say, was kind of Senna-esque, because Senna was that kind of driver where he would put that car in a position, and if you'd hit the corner, you're going to hit him. That's what that's what Martin Brundle famously said. And I think that obviously with Hamilton being, a big fan of Ayrton Senna, he probably would have seen that and thought, right, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to pretty much put my car in position where I've got this corner regardless, and I know that Seb, if he hits me, it's not going to hinder my race. It's just going to have a little knock, and I might get a little damage here and there, but it's going to cost nothing compared to what it could be. Now, obviously, there was the risk that Vettel misjudged, that Hamilton could have misjudged it, and they both could have took them out. But obviously, in Formula 1, when you're going for a title, you've got to take risks like that. And Hamilton did a brilliant job at getting that position back, a brilliant overtake on Sebastian Vettel as well. Obviously, as like I said, Seb carried way too much speed. He took the corner, he should have backed out of it when he seen that Hamilton coming towards him. And obviously that's the consequences. Hamilton had that position. Hamilton did everything he could to keep that position, to get that position rather, and it paid off. Obviously a brilliant move, Seb. He did very well to get all the way back into 4th place. Obviously I know I think it was Max Verstappen, wasn't it? Obviously he got penalised. I mean, that was a bit controversial, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't really controversial, but just a little bit on that while I'm on the topic. I think for me, Verstappen has nothing to complain about. He did move under brake, and he knows fine well he can't do that. When he came into 2016, he did that a lot. On the drivers, and obviously he did it quite famously in Mexico 2016. That's how we got demoted from, I think it was from 3rd to 4th, and then I think got demoted again, or he gained a position back. I can't really remember what happened, because I know there was a couple of drivers that changed positions where eventually Vettel got that podium. I think it was Vettel anyways, I can't really remember. It was just so confusing at the time, but he knows that, he knows he can't be doing that. So obviously for him to go on the radio and start effing and blinding and everything like that, it was just very unprofessional from Max Verstappen. He has a little bit of respect for me. I still think he's a very good driver, but I think he is a bit hot-headed at times. And I think he might be passionate. You could call it passion, but at the same time, he knows that he can't be doing that. He can't be moving under braking. It's against the rules. Obviously, the rules came into play when Verstappen was doing that. A lot of drivers were complaining, and rightly so. Verstappen did lose that place, and I thought the stewards had a very good Grand Prix. Penalised no drivers for the incident between Hamilton and Vettel, and obviously gave Max Verstappen that penalty when he should have been. So I thought it was a fair race, and obviously Hamilton did a brilliant overtake on Kimi Räikkönen with about 9 laps to go, to extend his winning race at Monza to 5 races now. Bear in mind he won his first race back in 2012, which is quite late in his career, to be able to match the great Michael Schumacher. I thought it was absolutely fantastic from Lewis Hamilton. Again, pretty much proving to himself that he is one of the best drivers of all time, or one of the best drivers in the modern era of Formula 1. But obviously, as I said, in my opinion, Hamilton and Vettel, no cause, there was nobody to blame. I wouldn't blame anybody. It's not Hamilton's fault, not Vettel's fault. But do you guys have a different opinion? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know in the comments section below. So obviously a crazy race, but what goes with the crazy race is just crazy Formula 1 in general. Now, the driver transfer market, as I said at the start of the video, it's just bonkers, guys. I just can't keep up with what is going on. 1 minute there's just one driver staying, then he's going, then he's leaving. I don't know. The biggest surprise, it all started with obviously Daniel Ricciardo going to Renault, which obviously I've discussed about. But as I'm recording, it's been announced today that Lando Norris is to replace Stoffel Vandoorne at McLaren, which is not really a big surprise. I would say it's more of a surprise that Stoffel is leaving. Reason being was because I do know that the new boss replacing Eric Boullier is Stoffel Vandoorne's girlfriend's dad. Now immediately I thought, right, he's keeping his seat. There's no way he'll let him go, but I don't think he has a big say, as to what goes on in the driver transfer market. He doesn't have any say, to be honest with you. Now, when it was announced that he was leaving, I thought, right, okay, there's 2 drivers I would say that realistically we could get. One of them I want, but he hasn't really tipped tipped, but I would say it's probably the outsider chance. The two drivers were Lando Norris and Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez, well, it came out that this week that Perez was in talks with McLaren for a possible return for 2019, with his Force India seat being uncertain, with obviously Lance Stroll coming in, but I'll get into that in the next bit. So obviously when it was announced that Lando Norris was as to become a driver for McLaren next season, I wasn't really surprised. I was quite happy for the lad, very, very impressed. Obviously Esteban Ocon, I thought would have got that seat. He would have been one of them. He is one of the drivers linked with that seat as well. Again, for future Force India is uncertain. I would like Ocon. Obviously, I would like a bit more experience than Lando Norris to be able to progress. But it does mean that we have a very young driver lineup in Carlos Sainz is 23. I think Norris is 18, 19 years old. I think he's around that age. I didn't do my research on him, well, on his age before I did this video. I think he's 19 years old. He could be 20. I really don't know, guys. But obviously the drivers these days are just getting younger and younger. What do I think? I would say, couldn't be happy for Lando Norris. I'm very happy that we have got Lando Norris in at McLaren. We've got two very good, strong drivers. Not the quickest, but a lot of potential there. It will take them a couple of seasons to be able to get up to grasp with what McLaren want. Next season, it's going to be a bit of a hit and miss season again. Probably better than but probably better than this season. Reason being was because that I think we got the Renault engine a bit too late. We didn't kind of design the chassis around the engine. There's just nothing's in sync with the McLaren at the moment. But I think next season, that obviously we'll have known that we've got the Renault engine for 2019. It's just becoming a bit more smoother. I think McLaren eventually will get there, and I think these two drivers are going to be the face of the new McLaren era. New season, new drivers, new era. Let's get this underway. Well, that's what I would say anyway. So I'm impressed with. I'm very, very happy with my drivers in in Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. So the next big kind of transfer topic is the Ferrari seat. Now Sebastian Vettel is staying there. Obviously the question is who is going to be his teammate for 2019? Kimi Raikkonen or Charles Leclerc? So it came out that before Marchionni sadly passed away, that Leclerc had signed a pre-deal, or signed a contract, a multi-year contract rather, to be able to race for Ferrari in 2019. Those rumours were kind of squished after Marchionni did sadly pass away, because apparently he was key to the deal. Now the new bosses came in. He's close friends with Kimi Raikkonen as well. He knows him well. So again, that would have obviously boosted the deal for Kimi to stay another year. Then there was rumours that Charles Leclerc was going to Haas, which would make sense. Obviously, a Ferrari engine, I would say a stronger and a faster car than the Sauber. Obviously, I think Charles Leclerc could have probably done better showed more potential in the Haas car. He's done very, very well in the Sauber. I think he would have done bits in the Haas. Haas, I think we'll have a good, strong car next season. And then all of a sudden, after the Italian Grand Prix, after qualifying rather, it was announced, or rumoured, sorry, that Kimi Raikkonen had lost his seat, but they were going to delay the announcement because he got the pole position and he could potentially win the race on Sunday in front of the Tifosi. So that confused me a bit. I was like, well, hang on 2 seconds. 1 minute Charles Leclerc is going to Haas, Kimi staying. It's certain. Kimi gets pole, then all of a sudden he's staying. He's leaving. I mean, I'm getting confused. I don't know what I'm saying. Staying, leaving, going. I don't know. Retiring. I really have absolutely no idea, guys. But what do I think of it? I think personally I do want Charles Leclerc in that Ferrari seat. I do like him a lot as a driver. He's a nice lad. I watched the interview he did with Arava when Arava went over to Milan just shortly before the Italian Grand Prix. He's just casual. He's just nice. He's relaxed. He's a breath of fresh air in the driver transfer in the driver's paddock as well for next season. It'll be good. It'll be good for Ferrari. A lot of potential on him. World champion written all over him, I would say. Multiple world champion, definitely, to say the least, for him. So I hope we just get to see Kimi. I'm sorry, mate, but you're gonna have to let go. He's just grabbing onto that contract, and he's like, I won't let go. And everyone's like, no, get off. You will leave. He just will not let go. He wants to stay for another year, but sorry, Kimi, you must go now. I'm sorry. You've done F1 proud. You're a brilliant driver, but come on, let go. Just give Charles Leclerc that seat. I hope he does. Really, it's likely that Leclerc will get that seat, but anything could change in Formula 1. Then Ricciardo could get that seat for all we know. He could say, right, bugger this, I'm going to Ferrari instead because there's a seat available. Leave Renault, and Leclerc might go to Renault, or Maldonado might make a return. I really don't know. Again, let me know your opinion in the comment section below. Do you want Kimi? Any Kimi fans watching? Do you want Kimi to stay at Ferrari? Do you want him to leave, or do you want Charles Leclerc, the young Monegasque driver, to be able to fill in that seat at Maranello? So the final point I'm going to talk about is the Force India seat. Now, a lot of seats in this, and I'm sitting on one right now. Unfortunately, this isn't taken. This is, you know, for life. Hopefully. So obviously the Force India saga is just mental right now. Obviously, going into administration, there was you know, a threat of 400 people losing their jobs, two really good drivers losing their seats as well, and a team going from Formula 1. We don't want that. We don't want teams losing out. A consortium led by Lance Stroll, the father of Lance Stroll, who drives for Williams, bought out Force India and changed the name to Race Point Force India. Did very, very well in Belgium. And obviously just as good in Italy. Obviously, resulting in that to change the name, they lost all their points, but they're quickly on the rise and probably will go back to 6th or 5th, wherever they were before they went into administration. So when Lawrence Stroll was announced that he was going to be, you know, leading the consortium to be able to buy Force India, immediately everyone said, right, okay, Lance Stroll is definitely going to Force India without a shadow of the doubt. He brings money, he brings a little bit of experience, but of course it's his dad who leads the team. I mean, I know everyone's criticising Lance Stroll for this, but let's say you're a rich man who's just bought a Formula 1 team and you've got a son driving in the lower, let's say in the lower ranks or in Formula 1 itself. Of course you're going to employ him. You'd be stupid not to at the end of the day. It's your own flesh and blood. It's your own son. Of course you're going to do it. I don't blame him for that. It's just the fact that it's annoying how now Lawrence is also involved in Formula 1, so therefore Lance could be able to like sit out maybe for a couple of years to go off to another series, but he's definitely going to be staying in Formula 1. I'm not that big of a fan of Lance Stroll. I don't think he's that good of a driver. I don't rate him. I did rate him at first, but when I've seen him again, I'm not his biggest fan at the end of the day. I do hope that he might be in Formula 1 for a couple of more years, but then he might, you know, go. I mean, as I said, I'm not really his biggest fan, but you know, that's just the way it is. And obviously the other seat at Force India is up for grabs. Is it going to be Sergio Perez? Is it going to be Esteban Ocon? Obviously Ocon apparently said in an interview with, I think it was Sebastian Vettel, overheard saying that the guy with the money has got the seat, and obviously it could be just as early as the next Grand Prix, where Ocon could sit out for the remainder of the season, then go off to elsewhere. Obviously there was talks of him going to McLaren. Obviously now they're now squashed. He can't go there. I mean, there is a seat at Williams available, but that also could mean, well, I say that there's also Robert Kubica linked with that seat, and the young Mercedes driver George Russell linked with that seat as well. George Russell could be one for that seat. Obviously, he obviously links with Force India. Obviously there's a Mercedes engine in the back of the Force India. Mercedes junior driver, it all makes sense, but obviously it just depends who brings the most money at the end of the day. Not that they need it, but that still is the way Formula 1 works. Obviously Sergio Perez does bring quite a bit of cash with him. He'll be in that seat. He'll be one of the contenders in that seat as well. I mean, who will go? Who will stay? Personally, I think Perez will have that seat until next season. Then I don't know. I really, honestly do not know. Anything could happen, as we have seen, you know, throughout the majority of this season. One driver's going, then next minute he's staying. Perez could stay, he could leave. I honestly don't know. I think Perez will keep that seat alongside Lance Stroll. I hope not. I do hope Ocon stays in Formula 1 and stays within the sport. But you know, anything could happen. My opinion, Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll to be in that seat up until the end of 2018. Next season, it's anybody's guess, guys. And obviously, as always, let me know your opinions in the comment section below. But just finally, before I wrap this video up, I just want to say, obviously, I haven't done a video in a couple of weeks. It's just been, you know, mental, this driver transfer market. I just didn't know what to talk about. Do I talk about Charles Leclerc? Do I talk about Fernando Alonso? Do I talk about Daniel Ricciardo? I just really don't know. I didn't want to kind of just regurgitate loads and loads of stuff. I just wanted to pretty much do a video where I can just kind of balance it all out and talk about some different stuff. So obviously, I was good that there was a race like there was in Italy. I would be able to discuss that. It is good to be back doing the F1 debate show as well. Hopefully, and we will be able to get back to normal proceedings as quick as we possibly can. Lal is still currently away. He was actually at the Italian Grand Prix doing his work. I'll let him explain what he does as a job. It is a really cool job, but obviously he was at Belgium, as you've seen in the pictures, and he was at the Italian Grand Prix like he was last year. And obviously it's just been over a year since me and him went to the 2017 Italian Grand Prix, so you know how time flies. It is absolutely crazy, guys, but hopefully we will be getting back on the normal schedule very soon after the Singapore Grand Prix, which I'll leave you guys hanging with that one for a different video. But anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure doing this video for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have liked this video, please give it a like as well, subscribe as well if you're new around here, and obviously just go in the comment section below and just discuss anything you want to talk about, anything that we haven't discussed in this video that you want to discuss about the driver transfer market. There's anything that you know that we don't, or do you think that I'm just talking a load of Red Bull and you want to prove me wrong and just basically just say, look, Jordan, you said this wrong, mate. I'm going to correct you on this. Obviously, correct me, guys, as much as you want. It is always a pleasure to have you interact with us. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.